Oh,
Okay, better give him a voice. You can't see her thumbs. All right, I can see you now.
you are good to go.
Thank you. Well, welcome. It's May the 6th, 2021, Stellarton Police Commission meeting. We're going to start off at number 1 in the agenda. It's approval of the agenda. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Does anybody like to add anything to the agenda? All right. Can I have somebody make a motion to accept? And second it?
I move a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion to accept by Commissioner Brian Atkinson, seconded by Commissioner Don Taylor. You all heard the motion. Is there anybody that objects? Okay, motion carried. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Susan Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Don Taylor. Is there any objection? Okay, moving on. Business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes?
Yes. Oh,
Oh, no, you go ahead. I have a couple of things.
okay. Just wanted to update the commission on a couple of items that were talked about in the last meeting. The first one here being the police scam education. So obviously due to the lockdown, there hasn't been a lot of seniors communication. However, Paige Clark, or the marketing communications coordinator, and Constable Gabe Vandergriff have been working together to kind of put things together. So once that is developed, we will send that out to the commission for their approval before that goes. The other thing I wanted to update the commission on was, let me just go down here. Oh, the Bay Mason Way. We met with Chief Hobeck, the town engineer, Blaine Murray, and myself, and that has been rectified. And that is all I have.
Had some very positive feedback, and people are very, very happy with the way the Bay Mason Way is closed off, and the fact that the stones are placed around with the tennis court and between the ball fields there. Actually, somebody after we put the stones there decided they're going to try to go down and drive over the lawn again, but they couldn't get through because of the large stones that are there. Thank you very much. Appreciate your cooperation. Done. Commissioner Taylor, you want to ask something?
No, Susan took all my fire. Those were the two questions.
Okay. So there's none other. Can we have a motion to, oh no, we don't need a motion on that. Monthly activity. We'll go through from sheet to sheet, and the public can see it as well. If there's anything you would like to ask, we can just stop at that particular page and discuss it.
The assault on the police, is the officer okay?
Yes, yeah, a little, it was 2 officers responding to, I don't know if it was a noise complaint or something to that effect, and they were both subjects of the assault. Both are fine.
Okay, I noticed there was 4 sudden deaths as well this month.
Yes.
The only concern I have there is, given the situation in Halifax where 2 people passed away at home, one that didn't know about the COVID. What precautions are we taking when we respond to those kind of calls?
The officers all have been issued their PPE, so when they go to those types of calls, they would mask up, gloves, etc. They have respirators available to them in the vehicle as well if they feel they need to. But basically, they're just going to use their PPE as they see fit.
Oh, excellent. I didn't realize that. That's good information.
Yeah.
And we had 2 Health Act, the COVID. Was there fines involved there? Do you know?
With one of them, there was a fine for not wearing a mask in Sobeys. The other one, no fine.
Okay. And the Mental Health Act, I see we've had another 11 there.
Yeah, there seems to be, you can make the correlation to lockdown and the uptick in the COVID cases, but our mental health calls have been on the rise again this month, yes.
Yeah. Actually, the overall numbers, 161 is kind of up again too.
Yeah. Yes, we're getting back up there. Winter's over, so.
Yeah, it would seem. And a lot of thefts, vehicle thefts. I count 5 on the report here. Is that accurate?
Yep, it's accurate. It's, there's been a few this month, and we're working with the neighboring agencies and street crime to determine if there's a correlation or if they're related to each other.
Yeah.
It's hard to say sometimes unless you get some good information, but we are looking at that.
Have all been recovered, or is there still some outstanding?
Oh, there's still some outstanding.
Wow. And the traffic collisions, did you were they anything serious there?
No, minor accidents.
Okay, I sent you and Susan Campbell a link to a video. I don't know if you guys ever got involved in that or not, related to electrocution with power lines down. Did you have a chance to have a look at that, Chief?
Yes.
Is there anything useful there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's always a good reminder, and I think any updates like that or reminders of officers when they go to those type of calls, it's good information for them to have. So yeah, it is valuable to us.
Okay, and Susan, did you get that video as well?
Me or Susan?
No, you. I sent it to you.
Okay, I did get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And again, I don't know if it's appropriate for the fire department, but I thought you could pass it on if you thought it was any good.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Is there any more questions on the report? I might indicate, without bringing names or circumstances, that there was recently where one of our citizens challenged the fact that one of our officers wasn't acting appropriate towards him, and filed a Form 5. And when the individual staked it in, of course, he didn't realize everything was on camera, body cams. And when they were shown the body cams, they had a different story. So is there, can I have somebody to accept the report?
I so move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Atkinson. Is there anybody disapproves? Motion carried. Correspondence. It's always refreshing when you get positive feedback from the general public on the operation of the police department. And it seems like we've been getting feedback, not just from one particular officer, but all the officers, chief included. I don't have it in front of me, kind of hard. So, oh yeah, the letters here. Susan, can you take that up a little bit? My dollar store glasses here,
Now that I know how, of course.
So this, you want to read that, Susan, if you don't mind?
Sure. Good evening, Chief. This email is to acknowledge the outstanding work of 2 Stellarton police officers, Constable Garnet McPherson and Constable Brianne Kite, in their efforts to assist the Safer Communities and Neighborhood Unit. I understand that the work of these 2 officers was absolutely vital to the initiation of this investigation. Tip of the hat to your leadership and to your team, and that's kindly Haley Crichton, and she's the Director of Public Safety and Investigations for the Department of Justice.
And from what I've given to understand, both of these officers were initiated the bringing in of safe communities and the implementation. I'm sorry, of bringing in the officers and having the search taken care of. And it was through their efforts that that they were able to shut another drug house down. So this would be number 4, and it being in a close proximity to school was very serious. I don't know if the chief wants to make any comments on that or not.
Yeah, but I'd like to caution everybody, it's kind of these type of things are ongoing. Investigations into homes like this and what's going on. We'll continue even after this, but it certainly was outstanding work by Garnet and Brianne, getting safer communities involved. And I did pass along our thank you to Haley for their efforts of safer communities. Second time they've been in our town to help us out with investigations, and their assistance along with street crime and the collaborative team effort was really vital to both investigations that they were involved in. So I did pass along my thanks to them as well for their involvement.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that the Police Commission recommends to the Stellarton Town Council to send a letter to the two officers thanking them for the work on this file. I don't know if we should include with the chief's recent comments with the Haley and the street crimes in that letter, or just our two officers.
The letter, you've heard the motion. Do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second the motion.
The motion is to send a letter highlighting the two officers and the chief from the council, thanking them for their efforts in closing this down. I think it's an excellent idea. Is there any objections? Motion carried. We had planned on, Chief and I, with COVID, the onset of COVID is an issue, but we planned on having a special, I guess, a special kind of, not a medal, but something on paper written up to pass on and to have them in at the police commission meetings and thank them for the work. So we're going to have a backlog when we do get into thanking, because it's been pretty well every officer has been involved in one way or another. The second one is a text regarding thanks to Sergeant Irving. Maybe, Chief, you might want to fill us in on that, on what the text is from and content.
Sure. Without getting into too much of the content, it came from it came through a manager at the Mental Health and Addictions, and it was just a case, again, with privacy and everything. I don't want to get into too many details on the case, but Sergeant Irving got involved, and his demeanor, I think, and the way he handled the situation didn't go unnoticed. And so this person's writing to Ryan just to advise of this case that they had, that Chris was involved in. And it just said nothing but wonderful things to say about Officer Chris Irving. Just wanted to pass a big thanks to him in making the case go as well as it did. So again, without getting into the details, I think Chris handled it in a very professional manner, and that went a long way into when you're dealing with the mental health type of calls or addiction type of calls on coming to a nice peaceful resolution to that type of situation, rather than having it escalate into something where arrests are made or somebody may get injured. So I think Chris's demeanor in this particular case went a long way to a nice peaceful, successful resolution to it. And, just to add to that, I think you're right as far as it may be a parade of the officers to get a note or something, but just so you do know, we do have something internally where we will add a chief's letter or chief's accommodation to files in particular cases where the work has been outstanding. And I think from a personal standpoint, it's very nice to hear from members of our community and our partners in this, whether it's addiction services or wherever it comes from, or even from the province, that are recognizing the work of the officers, because quite often we don't ever hear anything like that. And we're very quick to hear when we do something wrong or it's believed that we've done something wrong. So when cases like this come in or letters come in, it's just extremely gratifying to me personally to see them, because I know the work that they're doing and I know how well things are running at times, but just to have recognition from our people in the public, it goes a long way for us.
Yeah,
So
thank
hearing
you.
that, Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if the chief does his own personal letters, maybe it'd be more appropriate for council to do a letter noting the improvement in the police service over the last few years and thanking the officer and the chief for that improvement. Would that be a better fit, do you think, Chief, instead of singling out individual officers?
Well, sir, I think it's always nice for them to know that the commission and or council are noticing their work, but just, I guess I'll leave that to you how you'd like to handle it. But I think, internally for us, a letter would go into the file, just recognizing there's been something come in from the public, or in some cases, if I recognize some good work that's done on a particular file or with a member of the public, I will initiate that myself to have something added to their file. Eventually we will get to the point where we may have some type of accommodation or challenge coin or something that they may get, but for the interim, there will be letters to their file.
If I could add something there, Chief, the number 8 on the agenda, I requested that myself for a recommendation of the whole team.
Good idea.
Really, where you've taken the department and how they responded is unbelievably positive. I don't think there's a single person on that force that hasn't shown a sense of community involvement or community policing that I'm so big on. That they're all doing it, and I think that needs to be recognized as well. In spite of the fact that there's some really good things happening to some of the individuals, it all comes down to the bigger picture that we or you have provided the format for them to do the job that they're doing.
Leadership,
exactly.
I like to think back to 4 years ago, and I just want to highlight too, the former chief did a great job as well. But when we hired on, and whenever I sat in on an interview with a new officer, it was always stressing the idea I wanted community policing. And 4 years ago, or maybe a little longer, we looked at where we should go with our police department. And it certainly shows that we made the best decision for the town and the officers, because it's showing up in our leadership, and it's showing up in our officers and the positive attitude they have. I've had the neighbor, we talked about the stones there, and one neighbor come over and comment when their land was attacked by a truck, and the police come up, and of course it was still stuck in the mud, and how they handled it, they were quite impressed with the officers. And I had another conversation with another individual who had an autistic child, and the child got a little aggressive, and they called the police officer in, and they commented on what a phenomenal job they did and how they handled it. So, I mean, we send our officers away for training and handling different circumstances and situations, and it's certainly proven we're getting our money's worth out of them. So
Just
yeah.
on what Brian said, I not that I don't trust Brian, but I was a witness to the comments from the neighbors of his about the stones and how that was handled. And then a few days later, there was an incident with another relative down the other end of the street, and he commented how well and professional they were with the autistic child. So there was going to probably be a letter, but with the COVID, I didn't want to go handy to see if they had to pick it up.
So just for clarification on that, there was a motion that was passed to thank the officers and the efforts that they've made. Is there an amendment to that?
Well, we can send it on to the council and let the council discuss it, and we can certainly pass on. Donnie has, I forgot about that. I apologize, but Commissioner Taylor has an excellent idea. If we did send a combination that can be hung on the wall and just highlight some of the instances that that transpired with the different officers and how they were handled. He said, personally, I'm impressed with our police force and our chief and the great job they're doing out there. They're closing drug houses down. They're working hard with the limited force we have. It's a small force, and they are doing a great job.
So again, just to clarify that this will go to council for their approval to write a letter to the Stellarton Police Service.
A letter or whatever, if they want to blanket it for the whole service, we can certainly bring that up again, and the mayor can talk on it, and myself, Susan Campbell, there's 3 of us here. We can fill in the other 2 councillors and see what the most appropriate way is to go forward.
Okay, so the motion that is going to council is that that the commission recommends writing a letter to the Stellarton Police Service, thanking the officers and their efforts. So I just want to make
Yes.
sure that that's okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Good.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, nobody. has
I've
an
already
issue
reached
with that?
out personally to Garnet, and I'll, next time Brianne's on shift, if Chief can let me know when that is through the week, I'd like to reach out, just go to say thank you to her personally too.
I will.
I'd never met her before either.
Okay, good.
One of the, when we get straightened away, or maybe if we are on Zoom, then the chief can bring Brianna in, because Brianna was the last officer we hired. And she's doing a great job. Michaela's doing a great job. There are 2 new officers we hired. Gabe is doing a great job, another new officer. So our young new officers are doing a great job, and the way they address the public and the way they talk to the public and the feedback we're getting is just, it's just great. Like the chief said, you never hear the positive, you always hear the negative, but we're certainly showing up in the response we're getting back from the general public.
Chief Hobeck's gonna be looking for a big increase next year.
No, he's not gonna get it.
Just, just,
Good answer.
just on
We have
that,
no
guy,
money.
just on that, guys, I just tell you a little stories. I went over to Home Hardware with my friend the other day. We're coming up McGregor, and I noticed the speed was increasing. It was up close to 60. I said, "You got to slow down here. You probably get a ticket." So we slowed down and we come over the hill, and there's a Stellarton police. I said, "See, don't mess with Stellarton." He said, "I should have known they were there. I seen them there before." So people are noticing.
Keeping them honest.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on. Everything's covered. That was the only 2 letters. Okay, the next thing on number 6 on the agenda is Stellarton Police Strategic Plan Update. Who was going to talk in that? Was that Susan? Were you going to talk in that?
Yes,
Speak on that.
so Chief Hobeck and I met this morning just to kind of, as the commission would like updates on this, make sure that this is a standing item on the agenda. So the 3 goals, I just wanted to update the commission regarding the modern facility. What I can tell you, the only update that I'm aware of at this point, and again, Chief and I spoke about this morning, is that the town did submit an RFP, a request for proposal, to the RCMP for potential land for their new facility. And we haven't heard back on that. So I just wanted to make sure that council or the commission was updated on that. The number 2 one was volunteer policing. Not much has happened on that just due to COVID. And once we can meet and look at some options for that potential goal. But anyway, so nothing has been, nothing to update on that one. And of course, number 3 is updated technology. And of course, we all know about the 2 computers that are going to be installed in the 2 cars. And I know that Commissioner Taylor had forwarded an email to Chair Knight regarding an article that was in the news on that. So just wanted to update you on those 3 things.
Thank you. So the volunteer, you were talking about the auxiliary police.
Exactly, and other things that they might want to work on with youth, you know, that kind of
Right.
thing. So there was a whole bunch of options in that one.
Okay, that's good. It's yeah. Is there anybody else want to ask questions on it or comments?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to bike safety. Who was going to talk on that? Is Chief talking on bike safety?
That was me.
Okay.
Just wonder if we got any kind of plan together. When I brought this forward, I was telling Susan Higdon that now that the weather's a little nicer, my wife Jane and I sit out in the veranda a little more and watch the playground. I'm surprised to see that the young kids, and what I'd say young is maybe 7 to 10 or 12, they are all wearing helmets. And not only that, they're all wearing masks, even in the playground, which is a little bit surprising. But any of the kids that are slightly older, I see coming and going down the street, not many of them are wearing helmets. So we need to do something about that. Now, in the past, we had that program where we got the ice cream shop involved. I don't know if that'll work or if we have that option. But we need to come up with some sort of a plan to improve or enforce the helmet rule for the kids. Skateboards and bikes. Wondering if the chief might be able to speak on that or has some thoughts on it.
Sure, we had, I know last summer it was a little bit of a tighter thing, but we had talked about the ice cream coupons again, and I'll tell you, one of the officers himself went out and purchased, I think 10 coupons for himself to give out to kids that he saw wearing helmets and so on. So it's something that we were going to address this summer. We were also talking about having a joint bike rodeo.
Yes.
I was looking for a bike rodeo with Westville. Once we can, once things open up just a little bit, because it's outdoors and we can properly socially distance and create some space, or, we might be able to get around a little bit, but not yet.
Yeah.
We're also going to have our bike out probably anytime now, and we were just kind of waiting to see where we're going to go with this lockdown and if it was going to affect our scheduling as to so I can start scheduling some folks in to come in and get on the bike. So we will be addressing it that way. And I tell you, we will use enforcement as a last resort. We're going to go with education first. So if it means our bike is out there and we're stopping people, reminding them to wear helmets first. And I mean, it's a small town. We're going to see the same kids over and over again. So we're going to give them some opportunity to rectify the situation. And if we find that they are unable to afford helmets, and that's why they're not wearing them, then there's other things we can do to help them out there. So we will look at that as well.
Yes, I believe Westville, in conjunction with Crime Stoppers, had a bike helmet drive that they did a few years ago. So Chief Dunbar might be able to assist there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just on that, I have a couple comments on the bike safety. I had a couple instances where young people, 12 to 13, coming across the sidewalk. They come out of the bushes, you can't see them. Down to Foster Avenue, they're down by the old Catholic school, that path. Kid came flying down there and he zipped right across the crosswalk. And I believe that they're supposed to stop and walk the bike across there. I think that's the way. But anyway, I just want to run it by the chief. If I'm correct what I'm saying, I think they should be education on how to cross. Obviously, if I see them there, I'll stop and let them go across. But he came out, I wouldn't have had a chance. I would have hit him. And Officer Pence investigated. I never followed up to see what happened. But anyway, it was close. And I'd feel awful bad if we hit somebody.
Yeah, we can also engage Paige with this, and we can do something social media wise as far as just a reminder to everybody, either through just our site or if we can involve the town site as well, about the laws around helmets and the necessity to wear them. And I think, when they first changed it and started increasing the fines, you could see, pretty good compliance with it. But I think over the years, it's kind of been one of those things that hasn't really been looked at really since it started. So like anything else, complacency comes into place and people kind of forget that it is in fact the law that they have to wear it. And it's something we can remind folks of, as well as the safety aspect of it, which to me is more important.
Yeah, it's almost like a generational thing. Every couple of years you have to redo what was done before because there's a new crowd in town, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Kids grow into adults, and adults are the same as the kids. They don't seem to grow up. They don't address the stop signs or the speeding, and when they're stopped and charged, and that's when they change their attitudes. So maybe we might start early in life with the kids and try to educate them, so when they grow up, they have more respect on the highway. But I'm just wondering, I know we can't do it now. Would it be something that we could start in future, maybe in the schools? If we could win the schools in the fall or in the spring, and talk to the students, would that be something that we could do when everything is opened up?
Oh, absolutely. And I have the perfect person for that.
I do.
Yeah, Susan's favorite.
Good. All right.
I just wanted to say, I think that that's a good approach, Chief, the way you described how you're approaching the helmet issue, education first, and if it's a financial issue, helping with the obtaining helmets and give them the options to improve themselves first before any enforcement's taken.
Yeah, you know, it's, in some cases, it's not just a matter of like, they don't want to wear helmets and some people just can't have them. Maybe they don't have the money for them. So if we give them a ticket for a couple $100 for not wearing a helmet and they can't afford it in the first place, it's really not kind of defeating the purpose there. So, you know, we'd like to work with the community as best we can, and we can help them get the helmets. And then if they're not wearing them, even though we know we have them at this point, then we can address it in a different way. But the education piece,
It's always going to come down to that one-on-one between the individual and the officer,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
It depends
Also-
on how they unfold.
And
Yes.
also, Chief, Michelin does the bike rodeo every year, and I think they dropped off a box of helmets from that program as well.
That's great. We get a good start then.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for the information. Is there any other comments on the bikes? I noticed some of them young fellas who can handle them bikes pretty good on the one on the back wheel. It's kind of scary when you see them going down the road on the back wheel, no helmet.
Skateboards shouldn't be forgotten either. Skateboards, I think you have to, you're required to wear a helmet as well.
Yeah, scooters too.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, the commendation letter, we've already spoken. Donnie, is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to say on it?
No,
or-
no, I think we pretty well covered it.
All right. Insurance coverage for personal vehicles. Commissioner Taylor, do you want to speak on that?
Yes, I do. Again, I understand from my conversations with Susan Higdon that the town do not cover the insurance if an officer is using his own personal vehicle. Is that correct, Susan?
That is correct.
Okay, so has there been recent situations where our officers are using their own vehicle on company time, so to speak?
I think there has with the incident in Maple Avenue. There was, I think they were using their own
Yeah,
vehicles.
that was a while back though. Is that still the case, Chief?
Not really. I think there may have been one where it was just a matter of a victim of a crime that they were trying to protect and not put in a marked police vehicle.
Okay.
And just couldn't locate the keys to our unmarked vehicle. So that was not something that will ever happen again.
Yeah.
But it was just circumstances dictated it that night, and anyways, internal issue, but that's the only one I can think of recently.
My only fear is that we leave our officers vulnerable to suits or anything, should that be the case if they're using their own personal vehicle on police business. Going to and from court or any of those things, that would worry me.
In a
So I'm just looking, is there a backup plan? If we have another Maple Street situation, do we have a second? We have the extra vehicle at the moment, but is there plans for another one, or is there plans to at least have that coverage from another department if we need it?
Yes, yeah, we certainly, Maple, things kind of unraveled very quickly there, and we took steps that we needed to as quick as we could to get the situation under control. And then once it was under control, then we could transition to other agencies assisting and, street crime coming in to do traffic. And we managed to juggle around everything pretty well. So yes, we will involve the other agencies if we require them to assist on a big call like that. Smaller than that, I have asked about other police agencies and their vehicles when they get rid of them. I haven't heard anything back yet. Again, with everything after last year, they're looking at decommissioning the cars and basically sending them to the scrap heap, but rather than resale. So I'm not sure if it extends to other agencies. That's what I've asked, and I'm still waiting an answer on that. But
Okay.
we have explored it a little bit, and it's certainly not a norm that they would use their vehicles. If they have court on a day off, we do have the extra car for them to come, but back and forth to court isn't the same. They'll put in for mileage. They'll put in for mileage for that. If they go on a course, and the car is not available, if there's two at once and they have to go to Truro or something, they'll put in mileage for that. So they're covered that way. It's just the operational stuff that they're not supposed to use their own cars for. And it's hard to get too mad at them sometimes, because sometimes they're taking initiative to solve a problem that they don't see another solution for, and they think this is the best way out. So it's not a question of they're more comfortable in their own cars. It's just an emergency and they need to use it. So it's discouraged all the time. And in fact, they're told not to do it. But every situation is judged on its own merit. So,
and I wouldn't want to take that away from them, but I don't want to see them get stuck taking that chance and then getting sued or, left holding the bag.
Or damage to their own vehicle. That
Exactly. And then trying to justify it through insurance and they say no.
That's right.
So in a situation, if something like that were to happen, there are damage claims that can be discussed, but in a situation like that, it is not covered for usual use.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the conversation brings up a good point, is the fact that, we were wise in keeping the car. I'm only sorry we didn't keep the truck as well. Because before we ran with two vehicles just enough. We did add circumstances before where there was one of our vehicles, brand new vehicle, that was damaged, and subsequently we were lucky that it had been around the time that the other one the old one was still there, so we got it back. So the thing is, and this is why I guess it's a good point that when we keep the vehicles that are retired, keeping just enough is not enough. We could have an accident where two of our vehicles could be taken out of operation. So I think the point here is to bring up the fact that it's good and it's wise to have the extra vehicles there, and they can certainly be used. They might be sitting on the lot not being used all the time, but in an emergency or in circumstances like crop up, if one is taken out of service, as we have one out of service. I don't know if it's back in service now, but we had one taken out of service here yesterday or the day before, and it was in the town barns, Public Works, and they were assessing the damage on it to see what they could do to repair it. But I mean, then we were down to one, and luckily we had the spare car. So it's a good point. And as far as the officers using their own cars, I commend them. I know I wouldn't use mine, but they were willing to take their cars out and use them. But the point is the fact that we should look at maintaining extra vehicles in case of emergencies.
I agree, Mr. Chair. I think the third vehicle, it's important that we have that. Beyond that, I would say that if running Chad Transit, the old vehicles are the ones that cost me all the money to repair, the repairs and maintenance. So I wouldn't think that we should get into any more than that. But I think the third one is almost a must-have for us as a police department.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
the thing, Mr. Mayor, is I agree with you. When they get to a point where it's becoming costly, then it's a point to retire them. But it doesn't hurt to have the cars, have them there. Certainly, if they're not being used that much, they're not going to be much wear and tear on them. But yeah, when they're certainly, that's appropriate. When they start costing us money, we get rid of them and bring in a newer one and that way. But the idea is, like I said, is that having two vehicles is not sufficient to run the police work. Even three vehicles is we're just getting by. But I mean, we can't go out and start. I'm not proposing that we go out and buy 3 or 4 brand new ones. What I'm proposing is that as the retired or as the RCMP have vehicles that we could take and use as spares. Is there any more discussion?
Well, just a little further to that, just dawned on me. I wonder if the other police departments, could we look at maybe a pool? So that if there is any cost, it's shared between the other 2 departments, Westville and New Glasgow. A pool that we could draw from if we need to.
Not sure how that would work. I think you'd run into some ownership issue, and street crime. We have members from all the agencies there. They share a vehicle that we co-share or co-cost with Westville. The other agencies all provide vehicles and they share them there.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that
yeah,
we do
it's
have a
just-
program already. right?
Yeah, there's already something in place with street crime for that. So I don't know. That would certainly take a lot of cooperation from the other agencies.
I
to
agree.
share.
Can be tricky by times.
It could be, yes.
Okay, if there's no more discussion on the insurance coverage, we'll move on to citizens representative.
Yes, 2 ads have been placed in the local newspaper as well as advertised on the website and social media. The deadline is tomorrow, May 7th at 4 p.m.
And have we had any applications come in?
At this point, we have 1 application.
Thank you. And it came in this morning?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? One of the things I'd like to pursue, although we've been pursuing, I think the chief, we talked about it, spoke about it, is the provincial representative. We don't, it's not just here in Stellarton, of course, it's province-wide. We don't seem to be getting response. Can we send them a letter and ask them? I mean, it's, the time frame. It's been what, 2 years since we've been without a provincial representative, and we've certainly lobbied them to replace that representative. And we spoke with individuals in the Justice Department, and there doesn't seem to be any movement on it. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but they're very lax when it comes to replacing the members in the commission. Do I need a motion on that, or can I just ask to have can I have somebody make a motion on that then?
I'll move a motion that we investigate to find out why.
And I'll second it.
Motion made, Brian Atkinson, we'd send a letter through to the police, the Department of Justice, and require that they replace our provincial representative. And it was seconded by Commissioner Terrace. Is there any objection? Motion carried. Our next meeting is when?
June 3rd.
June the 3rd, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Is there
Thank
any?
you,
Thank you, Mr.
guys.
Chair.
Yeah.
Thanks,
there any-
everybody.